Hey, welcome back. It's now time to begin a conversation on the program. We hope to join the meeting at Muscat, Oman, hopefully, for the end of the program, where we'll try to sort that out. But let's just look at other issues on the program. We'll be talking about investment in Nigeria. What has been the situation like, and what can the government do to improve on what it has already achieved? Yesterday, the Executive Secretary and the CEO of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission was speaking, and she talked about issues that relate to how the Commission has been working to attract more investment into Nigeria. One of the things that she said was that there is a plan to initiate a new tax regime as a means of wooing foreign and local investors into the economy. She was also saying that multiple taxation had been the bane of foreign direct investment in the country, and there are plans to address all of these challenges. Anyway, we're now been joined to look at these issues and more on the program by the Chief Executive Officer of Westphalia Resources and an economist. He is Joe Femi Dagunro. Thank you, Joe, for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me once again.
Thank you so much. I'm sure you would have heard about what the NIPC was saying yesterday, the Executive Secretary, about investment. One of the things I asked her at that meeting was, what is the state of investment in Nigeria? In your view, how would you assess investment? I know there are plans, there have been a lot of talks as to we need to attract more investment into the country, but in your own view, how would you describe that move?
I think basically most investors now are very cautiously optimistic about Nigeria. There are good chances. Like I said some time ago, we have opportunities, but the political situation right now is of concern. And everybody will be watching out and waiting until we get it right. And after the election and we have everything in place, then people will be more optimistic. I think that's what you see. And you now look at the foreign exchange situation. So those are the things that are really of concern to many investors, even the local investors and not just the foreign investors. So investors are cautiously optimistic right now.
Cautious optimism. I know that right now, a lot of eyes are in Nigeria. I'm sure you're very well aware of the reports that says that Nigeria is the most watched economy among frontier markets. And now that we are looking for investment, how do you think we can take the position that we have been placed? We've been placed in #1 position as to the level of attraction that we are getting, that investors are actually getting from us. But how do we take advantage of these opportunities?
Basically, you see that we have a lot of things in theory. I mean, it's good to say we want to do this, we want to do that, we have this in plan, we have that in plan, but for how long? You know, to register a company, start from that, to register a company in this country. How long will it take you to register a company? We've had it severally, that companies, you can just have a one-stop shop, one-stop agencies, but are these really functioning? And those are the kind of things you have to put in place. And then when you go abroad and you have all these pages of papers and talking just about the population and we're just #1, we're just number this, that is not what the people want to hear. There should be infrastructures. I mean, if you come in from the airport, I mean, what you see, the picture of what you see about this country is not really good. I mean, the roads are just there, bad. I mean, if you now look at some of this, we have to be selective of the areas we want to really attract investors to come in to develop. So we have to have the infrastructures. I mean, look at even our educational system. We are having universities all over the place. We should be having more technical colleges. We should have skilled laborers. You know, now you have people bringing bricklayers and other these construction workers from neighboring countries. These are not good. And these are the things we have to put in place. I keep saying it. We have to be selective. We have to choose areas which we have to develop, and we begin to focus on that area, not just this global issue we are doing this. If you cannot register your company directly, and you cannot find your name search directly, and you have to wait for about maybe 2 or 3 months to get a company registered. I mean, these are problems you have to face. And you look at something else again. If you cannot register even a simple thing, your domain name, which you have to register in Nigeria, the .ng, 17,000 is the most expensive around the world. So these are little things that you may not think about. But if you look at it, people will say, look, I mean, such little things we have to take care of.
Okay, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment some time ago, I think shortly after we brought you here, the minister was actually here himself, Mr. Olusegun Ganga. And one of the things that he said at during that interview was that there is a plan to launch an online registration platform to enable willing investors, those who want to know about Nigeria and perhaps even register the companies, or rather find information and trying to make investment easy for them. How has that taken place? Have you monitored that development? Did you see that happen?
Yesterday, I tapped on that website as well. I mean, that's why I say we talk a lot. We have a lot of all this theory. We know how to, try to make people understand that when we get there, we're doing it. We will soon get there, but we're not taking the right step. And for how long? For how long will it take us to do that? I mean, in the first instance, why should the registration of companies, why should it be centralized? I guess they wanted to do it some years back. They said, look, you can register in all their departments and local places in all the state. But it wasn't that. I went to Lagos, somewhere around the Ikeja, to see it myself. It was a mess. As a matter of fact, the guys don't know what to do there. And look, you can register a company, for instance, in Germany, where I came from. You can register a company through your local government, that business names. You don't need to go to Berlin to do that, just like you go to Abuja to do that. Go to your local government, you get your business name registered. If you want to do your local courts, the magistrate or the high courts will do your GmbH, that's the limited liability company, they do it for you. So you don't, all these things we can make it more simpler. And take for instance, I brought a friend to this country and he wants to open an account, a bank account. And you're asking this guy to give you a NEPA bill and all this kind of stuff. I mean, things you can walk into banks and just go to Kigali and you want to open your bank account, you want to do your businesses there. Things are just easier in some of these African countries, but we have to get there. We have to take the right step. I don't believe in so much talk about we will do this, we will do that, but for how long will it take us to do it? We are not doing it. And if you are doing it, we are doing too slow.
Okay, I want to believe there is some positivity in what the government is doing. I know that there's a whole lot to correct, a whole lot of work to be done to improve and increase investment or even the state of the economy in general. But let's just go back to what you said earlier on. You talked about selective investment. What areas do you think at this point, as investors are keeping their eyes on the country, looking at how the elections would turn out to be, what areas do you think what signals are you getting in that respect?
You see, when you look at even the fashion industry, let's look at that. That's a very booming industry. And are very competitive. You have brilliant Nigerians working in that industry, but it's not really what it is, what it's supposed to be. We've heard a lot about textile industry. We're going to do this right from Obasanjo's time. I mean, now we're hearing it again and again. Arewa Textile, I don't think that company has ever come back, and so many other textile industry, and they're supposed to be fund for that. Now, look at the leather industry. A lot of guys are producing local shoes, right now. But now, most of the people are complaining there's scarcity of leather. So what have we done? We have forgotten about that industry, and we have this palm industry, which is booming because people are just, eating the skin and not really preserving it and working, and there's no education on that. So there's a lot of things. Right now, what you see mostly, you have this poster, what I call poster and T-shirt economy. You see a lot of posters on the road. You see, because the political situation has really changed the dynamics right now. People are not really investing so much. People are having a kind of angst that, listen, I don't know what's going to happen. But this selective industry, if you look at the mining, I spoke about mining, look at large-scale farming. Why don't we just, even if it is 2-3 states we select, and say, look, let us have good, large-scale fish farms. And these will employ people. This will provide food on the table. This will make us to be even exporter. Look at Ethiopia. What are they doing? They pick on some few things and say, look, this is what we do. People from Europe, they now go to Ethiopia, and then they're producing their shoes. They're producing, even they're exporting flowers. The same thing in Kenya. So we have to be selective, like I said. Pick some industry that we know we are really good at or we can develop.
I think one of the areas that Nigeria has proved to be good so far is in the area of agriculture. How would you assess that aspect? I know that every country has areas of specialization, before it goes or moves into the bigger picture. There's an area that they look towards. For Nigeria, agriculture seems to have had some level of success.
Well, so far so good. I mean, based on what we read. But like I said...
what about what we see?
What we see is a different thing. I've been to some farms and I've visited some farmers. you know, and they're telling me different stories. And basically, you know, we are looking at so many things here in this country based on propaganda, based on paperwork. But then let me just give the benefit of doubt that things are changing in the area of agriculture. I mean, no doubt about that, but we still have a lot to do. If we are still importing or we are still bringing in pineapple from Republic of Benin or whatever, and if we are still bringing a lot of all this, then we still import fish and rice and all that. I know it's a gradual process, like I said. I understand that. But, you know, now, some people are talking about GMOs. You know, we don't need that in this country, for instance. We don't need a genetically modified fruits. We don't need it. You know, these are the areas we are not talking about. This is not supposed to be what we need. We have fertile grounds. We have a soil that is so good, even with or without fertilizer. I know fertilizer will be used in some other places. But, you know, you still have to go into, not the what's it called now, foods that you can produce locally without even adding the fertilizer into it. We have fertile land in some areas. So that is where we have to really concentrate on.
I'd like us to look in details into what the NRPC was saying yesterday. It says that it plans to capture about 75% of investment in the next 5 years. Investment coming into Nigeria. Right. That's part of the strategy that it's putting on the table, as to say, we want to attract more money.
How do you do it?
More funding
How do you do
into the country. It's a strategy.
Yes.
It's perhaps consultation with investors, but locally and internationally, especially when we all know that many people are interested in Nigeria.
Right.
There are plans to do that. But how would you describe this move? Do you think it will bring about the needed result that we all want?
It's a good thing to have a 5-year developmental plan. That's fantastic. But how do we get there? You know, you have the Dangotes, you have those big guys in the industries where they're very good at. You need these guys to go out at the same time, convincing the people that, listen, I'm doing it here. I can do better. If you join me in this area, you can do better. No doubt about that. We have brilliant businessmen and women, but at the same time, we need venture capitalists. We need venture capitalists, people who invest in others and say, listen, I have this money. But in the country today, how many people are really ready to invest and wait for 5 years? So that's what you have to see. Most people in this country are just not interested in that, or they are not ready to wait for 5 years in a very short-term basis. That is very short-term. But then we need venture capitalists to come into this country to develop not only the agriculture, to develop the technology industry. We need to develop the technology. We need to create softwares in this country. We need to do things that will make us, so you have brilliant young men and women who are ready to do that, but there's no investment to power it. Look at Conga and all these, what's it called now, the e-commerce industry. Most money they're having, most investment they're having, they're coming from outside this country. So until when you begin to see that local investors begin to invest in what is good in that country. So thank God that people are seeing the e-commerce as a good business, as an opportunity in this country, and they're putting in their millions of dollars into it. That's a good development. And in the next 5 years, you begin to see that that industry will evolve so much dramatically, so much that people will be so happy that, yes, this is a good place to be. And it's one industry that if you are not in right now, it will be too late for you in the next 5 years. And people are watching that industry.
Okay, we'd like you to hold your breath for a minute as we go on a break. We've been talking to Joe Femi Dagunri. He is an economist and also the CEO of Westphalia Resources, as we're examining the investment climate in Nigeria and what can be done by the authorities to improve on the level of success that they have recorded so far. You're watching Business Morning, coming to you from Channels Television. We'll be right back.